Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to ColeJakeTV. I'm your messenger, GB, and I don't know how many of you have gotten into the parable of the tenant farmers before. I know we've covered a parable similar to this one in another book of the Bible that we've gone through, but there's always a new spin that Jesus puts on it. And that's what we're about to experience today, the parable of the tenant farmers. So grab your Bibles, open them up. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 20, we'll be picking up where we left off yesterday, verse 19. Gospel of Luke, chapter 20, verse 19. The parable about a landowner and his tenants. So let's begin. That he began to tell the people this parable. A certain man planted a vineyard, leased it to vine dressers, and went out into a far country for a long time. Now at vintage time, he sent a servant to the vine dressers that they might give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the vine dressers beat him and sent him away empty-handed. Again, he sent another servant, and they beat him also, treating him shamefully, and sent him away empty-handed. And again, he sent a third, and they wounded him also, and cast him out. Then the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Probably they will respect him when they see him." But when the vine dressers saw him, they reasoned among themselves, saying, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, that the inheritance may be ours." And so they cast him out of the vineyard and killed him. Therefore, what will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those vine dressers and give the vineyard to others. You know, this sort of tenant farming, up through verse 16a, this sort of tenant farming that's being discussed here, a certain man planted a vineyard and leased it to vine dressers. This was a common practice in Jesus' day. So Jesus is using a common theme that would definitely connect with those people of Galilee, especially in Galilee. Do you know that even archaeologists have discovered records of some of this same sort of dispute that's gone on between landowners and tenant farmers? And so what we're seeing here when it says he planted a vineyard, this parable had more than a cultural connection. It was also rooted in the Old Testament, if you remember. Jesus' first listeners would remember that the vineyard was used in the Old Testament frequently and often as a picture of Israel. You can find this in Isaiah chapter 5, verses 1 to 7. So this parable, the tenants, the vine dressers, represented the religious leaders among the Jewish people. And it speaks about leased it to the vine dressers. The vine dressers didn't buy the vineyard. It was leased to them. They didn't own it. They didn't make it. They didn't build it. They were simply allowed to work in it, work it by its generous landowner. And they turned against the owner. And then, of course, one day they will answer for their rebellion. So this parable tells us that God, the owner of all, that he's so patient. He's so long-suffering, even with rebels. He takes his time. He's nurturing, he's caring, he's loving, he's patient. What shall I do? he says, I will send my beloved son. The owner of the vineyard repeatedly tried to receive what was rightfully his from the vineyard and from those who worked in it. And yet over and over it says they rejected each of the servants he sent. He rejected them. They rejected them. They killed them. They beat them. And so he finally sent his beloved son, Jesus. I like how it says, thinking probably they will respect him. This is the heir. Come. Let us kill him, that the inheritance may be ours. You know, the renters of the vineyard foolishly thought they could benefit from killing the son. They were very foolish in their assumption. In a day when title was sometimes uncertain, anyone who had the use of the land for 3 years was kind of presumed to somewhat own it now, take care of it, in the absence of another claim. I think this parable tells us that Jesus knew from the very beginning he was the Son of God. He was the begotten one. And I think he knew he would be killed soon. In verses 16 to 19, before we get into that, we'll probably get into that tomorrow, we can see what Jesus is doing before he applies the parable. He's trying to set the stage. Who is he? Who is we? Who is God? Who are his vine dressers? Who is his garden? So what we're seeing here over and over and over, Jesus repeatedly tells us, you can do nothing on your own. Whatever you do, it must be done through me. You can't be disconnected from the vine. We must stay connected. And Jesus reiterates this over and over. Your power comes from your weakness. Your strength comes from your dependence on Jesus himself. And your power and your strength are going to come through a determination of dependence on him. That's key. That's key to remember. And knowing that God's going to call to an account every vineyard, he's going to come back to his land, and he's going to check in with the tenants, the farmers. He's going to ask for an account. And what we're seeing here in this parable of the tenant farmers is Jesus sets the table of what God expects. Then he comes in verses 16 to 19, he applies the parable. I don't think we have time to get into that today, but we'll get into it tomorrow. Jesus' application of depending on him, trusting in him, leaning upon him, not serving our own self-interest, but serving his interests. Let's keep that in mind today as we go forth and prosper in all that we do. And come back in tomorrow. Join us up where we'll pick up where we left off in the Gospel of Luke chapter 20, verses 16 and beyond. Until then, have a blessed day.